Hi, everybody. Good evening. Today is May 24th, and welcome to EduTALK. EduTALK is a bi-monthly weekly talk show, bi-monthly virtual talk show created out of the need for a global learning community focused on topics in education that directly impact Caribbean nations and the diaspora working across the globe. EduTALK features teachers, principals, administrators, business leaders, and dignitaries who share their expertise on topics facing education today with the common goal of moving education upward and our students forward. My name is Dr. Dwayne Dice. I'm your host of EduTalk. I'm the founder of the Education Solutions International. And I have a co-host with me here, my wonderful friend and brother, Dr. Miguel Barker. And Dr. Miguel Barker is the Chief Education Officer of Education Solutions International. It's a nonprofit. Please go to educationsolutionsinternational.org to subscribe to our page and also watch various shows on Education Solutions International TV here on YouTube. Okay. All right. So let's get our show on the road. We have a wonderful lineup. We have with us here LaDavia Morris, and LaDavia Morris is from Mount Fletcher Primary School in St. Andrew, and also Ronaldinho Vernon is from the Arden High School in Kingston. So welcome, guys. And before I say welcome, you're going to get a chance to share who you are. I want to hand over to Dr. Barker here to give us greetings as usual. Greetings, Dr. Barker.
Yes, greetings, Dr. Dice.
Yes.
Also would like to take the opportunity to greet all our listeners. Some of them are live, some of them pick it up at the end of the week. As usual, we look forward to having an insightful discussion, but also we always welcome the voices of the young people so that we can hear exactly what life is like. We have two young Jamaican children here who are going to be sharing with us today some of what their experience is like in school. But before we even get digging into this, Dr. Dice, I think there's a moment of pause that we have to take as well, because right now there is a really serious situation unfolding in the US, and it would be remiss of us as educators who are across the globe to not even express on behalf of Education Solutions International our deepest condolences to the families who will no doubt be hearing some really sad news today as their children went to school, but they'll have to identify them somewhere else. And we live in a world where life is like that at times. And so I think Education Solutions stand with the family and also really want to let people know that, we really understand and, willing to provide any kind of support to make sure that they can make it through this a really incredibly tough time. So yeah, that's really sad news coming out of the US.
Yeah, it's very, very sad, very sad. And thank you, Dr. Barker. It's super sad. So we'll try our best to stay focused, even in the midst of tragedy. So Ronaldinho is on the phone, so we won't see him on camera so much. He's on the phone, but you'll hear his voice all right throughout the program. Okay, so Dr. Barker, let's go over to LaDavia. LaDavia, tell the world who you are and what school you go to, and maybe a few things that you like to do. So talk to us, please, and then we'll ask Ronaldinho.
Remember to unmute yourself, LaDavia.
LaDavia, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is LaDavia. Hi, my name is LaDavia, and I'm from Fletcher
Yeah.
Primary School.
Yeah, what grade are you in?
I am in grade 3.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And who's
what,
your teacher?
yeah. That's what I was gonna ask. Who's your teacher?
Miss Campbell.
Okay, let's big up Miss Campbell first of all. Let's big up
Yes,
Miss Campbell.
yes. So if somebody asks you like 2 things that you like, what are the 2 things that you like to do?
I like to draw and I like to color.
Okay. What are
Just,
the things that you like to draw?
I like to draw girls. I like to draw fruits
Okay.
and animals.
Okay.
ah,
And do you get a lot of opportunities to draw in school?
Yes.
Yeah, for example.
For example, in the evening, at breaks time,
Yeah.
at lunchtime.
Okay. Okay.
okay, yeah. All right, so LaDavia, we're gonna come back to you in a little while, okay? So you can talk, okay? Don't be shy. Just feel free that we're talking with you and we're sharing, okay? Ronaldinho, tell us about you. Who is Ronaldinho?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Ronaldinho Vernon. I'm from Arden High School, and I have a few interests. Mainly reading. I love to read theology and philosophy. I'm a thinking kind of guy. I love to think a lot and to write a lot, and I love blogging. And also, I used to paint as well as draw.
Ah, wow, you're our kind of guy. We love philosophy too and theology, right, Dr. Barker?
Yeah. Ronaldinho sounds quite interesting. Ronaldinho, tell us a little bit about yours. You're at Arden, so what grade are you in? And maybe a little bit about where you're from, which part of clearly, I'm not going to assume Kingston. I know people used to travel from even St. Mary to come to what they consider to be a good school. So tell us a little bit more about that as well.
All right, so I'm currently in the 12th grade, currently sitting my CAPE examinations, and I do live in Kingston. I've lived in Kingston all my life. All I know is Kingston. And so school life, I love it very much. I love my friends. I love the environment. It's a very stimulating and encouraging environment, as the teachers are quick to help you in whatever interest you have. I know I have a few teachers who have encouraged me throughout my years and really helped me during even difficult circumstances, even during the pandemic when things were a little challenging. So the teachers are wonderful from my experience, and I love my friends at Arden as well.
Well, while you're there, just call in the collective group, the teachers. It's an opportunity as well, to shout out to those teachers, let them know that you actually recognize their contributions and also want to celebrate that with them as well. So you have any teacher in mind that you want to give a special mention for any particular support that they've done?
I have a few teachers in mind. First, Mr. Pierce Lawrence, who used to be my form teacher from grade 8 up to about grade 10. And then my French teacher, Miss Elsa Berton, and a teacher who never taught me, but I would always speak to him a lot, Mr. Brian Daly. So those 3 teachers in particular.
So you're in grade 12 at the moment, you're saying? So
Yes, sir.
So that means you have another year, right? In sixth form, if I'm correct.
Yes, sir. I have 1 more year left.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your plans, your
Right,
goals,
so
your dreams? What's your next stage?
well, after I completed CAPE, I plan to go to the University of the West Indies or UTEC to acquire a bachelor in business, or more specifically banking or finance, because I really love business, and I really love stocks and investments and
Okay.
finances on a whole. It really interests me.
Okay.
Okay.
So does that mean you're doing like Cape mathematics at the moment then?
Well, not math, but I do MOB and econ.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's very business minded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him where that name comes from, Ronaldinho, if he's from the football. Yeah. LaDavia, over to you again, LaDavia. You remind me of my little daughter, you know, because she's in third grade too, and she also draws. She loves drawing. I was looking at one of her little drawing just this morning, I think. And I said, wow, you know, time flies because she did this a couple of years ago and she's in third grade. She's finishing up third grade. So I'm assuming that you're finishing up third grade too, right? This is your year finishing third grade? You're a rising fourth grader? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So in your class, your teacher, Miss Campbell, what are some of the subject areas that you learn there in third grade? What are some of the things that you do?
We're not hearing you.
Lady, we're not hearing you.
Sir, can you please repeat?
What are some of the subjects that you learn in third grade? What do you do in terms of schoolwork?
I did math. I did integrated studies. I did language arts.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
language. Go ahead.
Ladavia, you're in third grade now. I know I asked Ronaldinho what is his plans. What are his plans? I know you're going into grade 4, but have you looked beyond that and said which schools you'd like to go to when you finish primary school?
St. Andrew High School for Girls.
Okay, nice. That's not far. I don't think that's far away from Arden at all.
It's not far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for our young people, because we always want to have solutions for the problems in the world and in Jamaica. So I'd like to ask both Ronaldine, and it's great that we have this perspective range, right? One is in primary school and one is
High school.
pretty much
Well,
exiting the school
yeah.
system.
Mhm.
So if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing in the education that you're experiencing now, and I know that Ronaldine already said that he's a thinker, so I'm assuming he thought about this one already. What would you change and why? Who want to go first? Ronaldine, you want to go first?
Sure, sir. I could go first. What I would change is something along the lines of the system's approach to students' mental health, and I guess if the school system could be more flexible and easier, in the sense not necessarily coursework, but more so, on our mental health. Because personally, in grade 11, it was a stress. It was a stress initially, trying to balance all the work and the SBAs and the deadlines, and just trying to grapple with the fact that I had CSEC soon, and for some or most students, I know there was one student in particular who was asking me for help and advice in dealing with the stress of CSEC. And I've seen with a good amount of my friends their struggles with school and just trying to make life work. So if I had a magic wand, I would make school more flexible and more bearable in a sense.
And when you say make it more flexible and more bearable, what practical things would you have wanted to see in place?
But
Or more of? Because sometimes it's there, but maybe not enough, right? So what would you have wanted to see more of?
Essentially more breaks, probably a shorter school day.
Yeah.
And just more breaks and a shorter school day. Yeah.
Do you have
I mean, if you have more breaks, you kind of shorten the day anyway. You take it.
yeah, a contact time?
But I think just to follow that point, I think I know your principal quite well, and the educators and the policymakers could say, if you spend less time in school, you're going to learn less. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that's necessarily true. There is some truth to it, however, because there are students, of course, who will just want to slack off. But at the same time, one can't learn if they're constantly being under pressure, because your mind would essentially be splitting and trying to handle this and this at the same time. So when I say flexibility, I'm not saying to make us, do whatever we want, but more so be a little generous with the time, even generous with the work, because I know some teachers who in a whole week you just have a straight list of homework that you have to do at one time. So I think I've seen studies that say, students get more rest, get more time to be more flexible with their schedule. Their performance is better, but at the same time, it all comes down to the student and what they want.
Okay. All right, good to hear from you. Let me hear what LaDavia has to say. But very interesting. I'd like to delve a little bit more into that thought about mental health.
Yeah,
And
I have a
the fact
question
that you
too.
went straight there is really an important, it's a very, very salient point. So I'll come back to it. But LaDavia, what would you change if you had a magic wand? You need to unmute yourself, please.
David, don't mute yourself.
Unmute yourself, please. Okay.
Go ahead, David.
If I had a magic wand, what would I change?
Yeah.
I would change the way how the teachers teach us, like we can use our devices more.
Okay. Why would you want that?
Because we can use our devices to do work on it.
More schoolwork on your devices?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so what else would you change other than the more work on the devices? Because we know you're living in the era of technology and devices. So of course you're gonna want to be on there all the time. So yeah, so we understand that one. Trust me, Ladavia, we got that one. What else would you want to change?
I would like them to let us have more drawings, to have us more to do more activities.
Okay.
Like your drawing?
Why do you think that's important? Why is that important to you?
Because that's what keeps me happy.
Okay.
So do you get a little bit of time in the day to draw, like some what we refer to as free time? Do you get like free time to just do what you want to do and you draw?
Yes.
And you're saying it's not enough?
Yes.
It's not enough. Oh, is it enough or not enough?
Not enough.
Not enough. Oh, I'm wondering though, Dr. Barker, if they have art. Do you have art and craft in school?
As a subject?
Sometimes.
As a
Sometimes.
subject? Yeah. Oh, okay, but it's probably not frequent enough. You need more.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay. Do you know why your teachers don't give you a lot of time on devices?
No.
Have you thought about any reasons why they might not have given you guys a lot more time on devices?
Because when they put the Wi-Fi code on your devices, some of the kids might go on YouTube, watch videos.
Okay. But you think that's fair?
answered with Ladavia.
You think it's fair?
You
Yes.
think that
So you think
students should
teachers are,
spend?
I'm asking, it's a genuine question actually.
Yeah.
Do you think the teachers should have a system? I mean, it sounds to me like you're saying that you said the students would go on YouTube. Am I to assume that you mean that you wouldn't be one of those students?
Yes, I wouldn't be one of those students.
So do you think it's fair that the teachers have a system that you who might not want to go on YouTube don't get access to the device? What are your thoughts on that? Let me ask Ronaldinho while you think about it. Ronaldinho, what are your thoughts on that?
Could you repeat, please?
No, what Ladivia was saying, she's in primary school. She's saying that she would want to see more opportunities to use devices in school. But what she's saying is that when the teachers share the Wi-Fi code, a lot of the times the students do not remain on task. They tend to do other things like go on YouTube. So I want to ask you that question at the other end, like what are your thoughts about devices in school, and to what extent should students be allowed to use it freely? And yeah.
Well, since our school has implemented Chromebook devices specifically into our day-to-day school activities, it has its benefits in that we can do more work, and we can do work more easily, and essentially easier for us during our classes. There's a sort of flexibility to it. However, the Wi-Fi thing with lower grades for upper school hasn't really been much of a problem, because we stay on task and we have our priorities. But for lower school, what I've seen is that they tend to be more immature and want to go about doing anything and just being the kids that they are. So I think for young children, I don't really think so. There's nothing wrong with the traditional pen and paper.
So you're saying that the young children, do you think their future will be less digital or more digital?
It will absolutely be more digital.
So how does your solution prepare them for that world?
I think by slowly letting them get into it, because when I was in prep school, we had computer classes where they taught us how to use a computer and taught us how to use basic applications, so that when we get to high school, for example, we are better able to use a computer more frequently.
And keeping on task, use it for the benefits of educational activities. Oh, so it seemed like we need to have some form of culturing to culture the kids in a way to use it for the purpose, especially when they're in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's funny, Dr. Barker, we just had a session on policy with Miss Malloy, your principal, Ronaldina, and it's exactly the same thing she said, that there should be training for the students before they actually get the devices in their hands. Because what happened is that they are getting the devices and somebody, and they're not being trained to use it for educational purposes. They're just saying, here's a device, we acquired this device for you, and you should use it for learning. And they don't really culture them in a way to use it properly, even though they're digital natives. So they use it for anything but school. But school works.
I think
Brought
that's
up
what
a good,
Ladavia was talking about.
yeah.
That's what she's talking about.
Mm.
Ladavia, what about Ronaldina's point about mental health? Do you think students at your age feel like school is a bit pressuring?
Yes.
Yeah, in what way? Give an example of what you answer my question right away, so you have the answer. So I want to know, when you say school is pressuring, give me an example of how you feel like school could be less pressuring, like what, in terms of how it could be done differently.
Loads of homework.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you get lots of homework because you didn't finish your work, or it's just lots of homework because you finish your work? Like
Lots of homework because you finish your work.
You finish your work and you get more on top of it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a famous researcher called Alfie Kahn. He says that asking students to do homework is like asking them to go home and do a second shift of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's
But
kind of,
he's always a left field thinker.
yeah,
But yeah, it's great to have you guys. I think you raised two very important points. You raised a
yeah.
point about technology, Ladavia, which is interesting coming from your age.
Mhm.
And Ronaldina raised a point of mental health. And there are some people who would say that both are connected. What do you think, Dr. Dice?
Yeah, I clearly, they're very much connected. And because this is not the first time we're hearing this on this program or other programs. And so, yeah, it's a clear cut line between them. It's real. You know, I want to pull in, where's your grandma, Olivia? I want to ask her about,
Ask her the same two questions.
you know, because she's a part of the education system too. You know, she's providing food for you, and she's also providing guidance. She's your guardian. So grandma, Ladavia, unmute your thing. Stop muting it, Ladavia. Um, Grandma, what do you see happening like after the pandemic and the students going back to school, and Ladavia is there with you preparing to go back in person? What sort of experience you went through with all of that?
Well, actually, no, I had a lot of experience because I myself am a teacher.
Ah,
And
all right.
but I teach in the early childhood sector
Mhm.
section, right? And I had problems with my babies
Mhm.
because they knew nothing actually when we got them back, right?
Oh,
Even though we had them online,
yes.
when we got them back in the classroom settings, it was different. They knew nothing because having them online, we realized that most times the parents are the ones who did the assignments,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Yeah, parents, most times the parents, because they are there with them or
Mhm.
they have an older sibling and nobody wants to be patient enough to stick with them.
Mhm.
So I had struggles in several ways because I have three of them here with me and they are in different age groups.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
So two
how,
of them.
yeah, how did you cope with the idea that they were very low in terms of academic performance, their learning? So after the pandemic, you know, it kind of it really um it created some barriers to learning. And so a lot of students fell very much behind for learning.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you do or you're doing now to keep up with the fact that they need to get this education?
Okay. I push two things. Their reading, right? I push very hard for that to
Mhm.
get them back on track. Like with my babies, I'm making sure that their letters and their letter sounds are intact and
Yeah.
that their numbers and numeral are intact. With Ladavia, she was with me even through that. So I had to take the time to help her with reading
Yeah.
because she could write, but I had to help her with reading to be able to recognize words and so on because, she was out for quite a while,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I had to get their mental faculties working again back in a school mode. So we had to go back into nursery rhymes and all those little things and get them back on track, right? They're still not fully there, but at least where I have them now, I know they're doing very well.
Good.
Very
Good.
well, right?
I hope a lot of early childhood teachers are doing exactly the same thing too that you're doing.
Yeah,
Because,
and some are doing more.
oh wow, yeah, that's good
Because
because they
yeah,
need
they
it.
have more opportunities.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's good.
Okay.
It's
So,
quite, yeah. Go on, Dr. Bar.
Grandma, let me ask you, what is your magic wand that you would
You
change
would
in the
change.
education system?
What would I change? Well, the only thing that bothers me right now is the pressures that they put on us as early childhood practitioners, nothing more. Yeah, because they expect, as early childhood practitioners, you are looked upon like the mother, the father, the doctor, the lawyer. Yeah, you fit into all these capacities.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of difficult at times to be the teacher that you ought to be.
Okay. It's interesting because when was it, Dr. Dice? Was it Saturday? Saturday, I did a presentation at the Early Childhood Virtual.
No, Friday. Last
Institute.
Friday.
Did you
Were you a part of it?
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
so I did the
Dr.
last presentation. I was talking about self-care and about
Yeah.
how educators need to, same thing you're talking about here, just the pressures and,
Yes.
coming out of COVID. So it's interesting hearing that you're talking about that. The magic one, you need a little bit of ease on that pressure
Yes,
on the early
we
childhood
do.
practitioner, isn't it?
We do.
You think you need more staff or what? What would you say is the biggest thing that could change something?
I'm not sure if it's staff.
Or
I
resources.
think because of the whole COVID situation and the measures that they have put forth, the protocols that you have to follow and all that, it takes away more of your teaching time.
Okay.
Right? Yes.
So you're saying that it was perfect before COVID then?
Well, I wouldn't say 100%, but it was good.
Okay. It was better then.
Yes, it was better. Yes.
But did you guys learn anything after COVID? Like anything you're doing now that because you went through COVID, you're like, no, we can do this?
Oh my God, I'm like an expert now on my computer.
That's good. That's very good.
I get to learn more.
Yeah.
And then my grandkids, they help to teach me things.
Nice.
I get to be able to correspond with them more via this method.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It's
yes.
very good. Very good. But Grandma, stay tuned to just stay in touch with the early childhood unit. We're gonna do some stuff with them too from our company. Too.
Yes.
Because we're big on that with the changing the mindset of teachers and looking at students, see how we can support them as they're growing up into an age now where, as you said earlier on, we really have to fill the gap that COVID has created in their learning. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So Ronaldinho, do you have any final thoughts here? We're gonna try to get you back on the program. So we can actually look at you, But for now, do you have anything that you want to share with young people out there? Any advice, maybe 2 lines you want to tell them in terms of your own experience in school?
Absolutely. One thing that I would want to share with my peers is that don't put so much stress on yourself to try and achieve someone else's goals. Just focus on what you are capable of doing and be content in that. Remember that the competition isn't against others, but against yourself to always improve. Because looking back at times I was stressing and crying, I didn't need to really stress and cry that much. It was mainly in my head. So just take your time, do what you can do, and never forget your friends.
Yeah. All right, good. LaDavia, what do you want to tell your classmates? Because I'm gonna ask them to share the video and the link to watch this to them and your teacher. What do you want to say to them, your classmates and your teachers?
To always listen to the teacher and stop making complaints.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
About something that isn't really supposed to be a complaint.
Okay.
All right, LaDavia, take care, okay? And Ronaldinho, take it easy. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Same to you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye, Grandma.
Bye.
Yeah, take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye. Yeah.
We'll leave this.
Dr. Barker, this is really, really serious. The whole idea of the digital natives and the type of mindset that we think they have, and some of the things that we probably hypothesize, you know, like we say that they're digital natives, so let's give them devices. And just a very few of us took the time to say, wait a minute here, we need to culture them in it. We need to make sure that they understand how to use it. So that's one of the points that I see coming out of this. And then the whole idea of socio-emotional support that is coming out of it too. And then Grandma brought up a very good point there, where students in the early childhood sector being left behind, or the lack of educational activities and opportunities because of the pandemic, they're being left behind. So there's some gaps there with, as it relates to culturing with technology so that they can use it appropriately, and then the socio-emotional part of it as well.
No question. But it's universal, to be fair. Jamaica is just an example of what is happening in the world. Even my school, where we did have the resources, there was a big challenge, because how do you teach kids at that age who relies a lot on the social contact and relies a lot on constant reinforcement, you know, and the kind of stimulation that exists in their classroom in order to learn? How do you teach them online? And, you know, you're right, as much as they are digital natives, they're natives, you know, they are not in any way, let's use a term loosely, civilized in using the internet in a certain way, especially if it is thrusted onto them in the throes of a pandemic. So it's a reality, though, that's faced every school system. And the real issue is not so much about the fact that the school systems were caught off guard, but so they react when they were faced with that. And some systems have the financial resources to respond with training, with parent education programs, with more devices, higher quality devices, reliable internet. And when I say that, I'm not even speaking of America. You know, there's enough research to show that America struggles to do this universally. There are some kids who have this, but there are many kids in America that don't have access to even internet because of who they are. And, you know, so it's a real problem, and it's interesting that it came up as a Jamaican problem, but we must be mindful that it's across the world. So the solutions can be found outside of Jamaica as well. That's the point. You can take solutions from other systems and bring them in.
Yeah. And that's some of the things we highlighted to you and I in the early childhood conference a couple of days ago. It's real. Well, we do need to do something about because they're popping up a lot. The social emotional part of it, and it's not even, I don't think the pandemic really brought it onto people. I think it highlighted it even more, because they were we totally stress ourselves out in putting pressure on students. And if we're administrators like yourself, putting pressure on teachers to perform. And just a few of us really took the time to support teachers in a way that they can feel comfortable to work, provide them with the resources, and even students, where teachers will provide students with the appropriate mindset and resource, and resource meaning time to just relax a little bit, take a deep breath, do some mindful exercise at times. You did the presentation last week on, and you highlighted a book. If the teachers, if you don't feed the teachers, they eat the kids. And that came to me tonight, because I'm thinking, or this morning for you, because I'm thinking it's exactly what is happening in our schools. If you don't feed the teachers, figuratively, they will eat the kids.
Yeah, no, it's true. Those kind of books are always good, because I quite like to write a book that has that kind of humor, but hits the nail on top of the head as well. You know, I think that's the way you get those important points across, because it kind of stimulates the mind. But there's a really sad piece behind that, and across the world, teachers are really not properly remunerated for the work they do. You know, they're just not. And it's not a Jamaican problem. When a Jamaican teacher leaves leave Jamaica and go to US, they get more money and they feel remunerated and they feel like it's a good thing. But the reason why jobs like those are available in America is simply because teachers just aren't paid well to live the kind of life that their investment in education should produce, right? But we go and we kind of compare and say, oh, they pay better in foreign countries, right? But they technically aren't. And we find that many teachers who leave even Jamaica to go to work to US technically run two jobs. They do one teach and they finish and they do another one and they work summer school and they work after school.
Yeah, true.
Something that they may never even needed to do while in Jamaica as they were struggling. You know, so you find that, you know, that comparison sometimes a bit weird. But the truth is teachers are never really paid or compensated for the work that they do to build societies. And that's a real challenge, you know, because how much is enough, you know? And you know, it's a real challenge. I think the real solution might be teachers withdrawing their service as government workers, but rejoin as contractors, independent contractors.
That's a very good idea. Because I wasn't even thinking about being a contractor, but finding ways to be referred to as a professional, just like a doctor or a lawyer or a judge, in the
that's
system.
the mindset we have to start taking, you know. And you know, I picked up on, there's a big debate right now in Jamaica around the General Teaching Council, the Jamaican Teaching Council that's coming in, and the philosophy, I think the end goal is that every teacher in Jamaica would be licensed to practice. In some ways, there's a little bit of there's a piece that we need to get our head around it. I mean, the purpose certainly doesn't seem to be very, very clear, but the outcomes are certainly usable. You know, like the way it has been done, I'm not sure what the real purpose is. You can never tell with governments. But across the world, teachers do have to obtain some form of license to teach, not necessarily as a benchmark of their practice, but more to do with their a demonstration that they understand the curriculum and that they are safe to work with children. It's that technically tends to be the way that a teacher certification tends to work. It's not necessarily like a license to practice in the way that a lawyer or a doctor needs one. So in a sense, the debate that we see unfolding in Jamaica is seeming like a merging of the two and can be positive if teachers are elevated to that level to say that we are like doctors and lawyers and should be able to should have this kind of licensing happening. But it also has the other side of it where, you know, if your license, for example, expires, you do run the risk of creating a kind of uncertainty in a profession that was considered to be secure. And even with that security, struggled to staff itself. So you could maybe create a kind of a cycle where people, well, teaching not really secure anymore, therefore we don't need to join it. And it may weed out the people who were sitting on their laurels, so to speak, but you may lose some that weren't sure what to do. I mean, I, for one, would say to many young people who contact me and say, what to do with your life? I say, go teach us college, get your teaching. After that, you're set, and then figure out the rest. But you're not sure what to do, get a teaching certification. No, I couldn't say that. I'd say go in. And so the debate is there. I don't want to fall on either side of it because I don't understand the policy goals. But we just have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, the other side too, to add to your point, is they need to look at how like Finland and Sweden pay their teachers and really support them. And treat them like professionals. And then if they bring that system in place, can they maintain it? What will it look like in the communities? Because so where you're from and I'm from, we respect teachers. We think that they're wonderfully made and they're put there as a vocation in that spot to change lives. On the corporate side, we don't see that happening at all. They're disposable, or it's just, you're just a teacher. But where we're from, they really treat teachers as if they're little gods in their own right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they represent
certainly society holds teachers in high regard.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I got trained at age 20 and I moved out to a community called Enfield.
Yeah.
And I was I was a young teacher, 20-year-old, teaching maths. You know, I was, if I go to that community, everybody called me either sir or teacher.
Yeah.
Or, or Mr. Barker, that kind of thing. There's a high, even when I left Enfield and went back to my community where I'm from, Anatobia, and walking around, people who grew up with me and, we were friends, call each other a nickname, immediately changed with no impetus from me and start calling me Mr. Barker, teacher. As a mark of respect. People, you stand in a group and a man cuss a bad word and say, sorry, teacher. And these are people you grew up with. So there is a real respect for teachers in the country. But you talk about Finland. What Finland did, it's a very simple philosophy Finland had. It's not so much that they pay more, but what they did was rebalance the system in such a way that ensured that teaching was an attractive profession for people who are coming through the education system right away. So whereas in Jamaica, a young teacher may not earn as much as a very experienced teacher. And when you look at what a young teacher gets, it may be not enough to live on properly. Especially if you spend 3 years, get student loan, and you're thinking, I'm going to have to pay 10,000 out of it every month for student loan. As a young teacher, you might not want to go there. What Finland did was simply increase the starting salary for teachers, but made progression in the band slower. So they did not reward you more money for the number of years that you taught, this is where you create a kind of an incentive in another, the way each system provides an incentive. It works differently, right? So in Jamaica, every year you may earn more, you jump up the table much faster by each year, but it says to people, the more you teach, the better you are, and therefore you earn more.
And that's not true.
Exactly, you see, it's not true. But what Finland says is our biggest problem is not necessarily keeping people in. Because most times some people go teaching, they don't really leave. Like I was never a teacher. I got in and I'm a teacher for 28 years. But what Finland did was say, we're going to raise the starting salary for a first-year teacher so that it is on par for any other profession or even higher. You finish a degree, you look at jobs and you say, where do I go? And every one of them you look at, you say, but maybe if I go teaching, I have some security, but also have a good salary, a starting salary.
Right.
So that's important. The key thing is the starting salary. Because if you leave and you see a good starting salary in a job, you're going to be able to start your life, right? And what they did is, rather than having at the top end up, so rather than having a system like this, like maybe like this, in terms of the pay range between an experienced and an inexperienced teacher, they did this. They just lift the bottom up. And take the top down a little. So now what happened now, you start higher, but your progression to the very top isn't as, stark. If you're at 20 years experience, you don't see a massive difference in salary to a first-year teacher. What that does, because the starting point is already high enough for people to have a good life, then it works, right? Now,
and the benefits,
thinking that makes a big difference,
talk about the benefits too, like the healthcare and the stability in the benefits there.
Well, I think the challenge I have, and I'd love to talk to a few I'd like to understand the mindset of the JTA and their negotiation, because I know there's more to it, but effectively what you hear is salary increase, salary increase, salary increase. And the problem with a salary increase focused discussion, you're technically tied to memorandums of understanding that are based on statistical analysis that says this is all the government can give. You could want 100%, but there's no way you can walk into a meeting and ask for 40% when no other sector is getting 40%.
Yeah.
And when you provide a service, because the government can wait you out,
Yeah.
You can strike,
Yes,
there is no question. If I'm in the
True.
government and a teacher come and say, I'm going to strike, I can say strike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it brings chaos on the road, but people are going to hate you after a while. It's a fact. They're not going to blame the government. They're not going to blame teachers. Because at the end of the day, they're going to say, see, teacher them sit down at their yard and not go to work. And me have to go no fine work. So the government knows this. The government knows. You cannot really strike well for a service, especially one that has a long-term effect. You can strike if you're a nurse and a doctor and it have an immediate effect. Somebody literally dying, right?
Yes.
Or you're a fireman, house are burned down, then can see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when a teacher strike, the effect is not apparent. So one conversation I'd love to have, and I know we have some contacts, it would be good if we could get two former JTA presidents. Not even one is a JTA, former JTA president, is to understand. And I think it would be great if we could have a conversation with them about this bill, and even talk about these things, but also understand when they are negotiating, apart from salary, what are the kind of things they ask for and to what end? To what end?
That's a good question.
Talk about duty concession and cars, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but that's a thing that you're not getting that in the US, so why we want that in Jamaica? You're not getting duty concession on cars. It's as if you're setting up an import business through, you're incentivizing an importation. Governments aren't going to find those attractive things. They don't fit into any policy to make sure more teachers have cars, especially when you're looking at reducing emissions, rising costs of gas. You're kind of running into one kind of, if you give every teacher a car, then you have to give them gas at some point. Your road is filled because everybody going to school. You'd expect more of a school bus system to be asked of, or a way to transport faculty from A to B. Is a more meeting in a long-term goal of reducing emissions from the government. Why can't you have a faculty bus system? I would think. But I think the interesting piece is if we could get some of those guys on, and just guys, ladies, and just trying to understand the philosophy of the negotiation, to what end. Because when you're in the news, all you're hearing is 4% and 5%. That's not enough. That's really what you hear. You're not really, I know there's more, no question, no disrespect to anyone. But maybe we need to flip the script, and nobody don't even know what percentage we want. They just want to know what perks, what benefits they want, and it would be an interesting piece if you can. I know you have the contacts. If you can get them on one day, we just
we're gonna work
this general teaching council licensing thing.
Yeah, we're gonna work on it, because we have people we can talk to on there. All right, Dr. Baca, we'll leave it at right there until next week. So this is EduTALK, everyone. Thank you for viewing, and my co-host Dr. Baca and myself. We want you to subscribe to ESI, Education Solutions International.org. Go on there and subscribe. A bunch of things on there. We added some information on there. There are grants on there as well for Jamaican teachers. We're starting in Jamaica. We're going to spread it to the Caribbean. There's also links for you to watch past shows and for resources. Okay, and we still have a few more things that we need to launch coming up. You will know more about those as we get into the summer. All right.
And just before you close, just remind them, as much as they subscribe, they should also like the videos.
Yes,
and
please.
Also ask them to drop a comment as well if they think there's anything that they want to share how the conversations are affecting their thinking, their thoughts, whether they agree or disagree. And then more importantly, if there's anything you think that we need to talk about on EduTALK, just drop it in the comments so we can add those to our conversation.
Yes,
it's a two-way street.
It is a
Alright.
two-way street. Next week is the last show of May, which is Child's Month, and it's the 31st. So stay tuned for that show. Is the last one. We're gonna leave with a bang for 2022 Child's Month, and then the following month, June, is Caribbean American Heritage Month. So we have some shows coming up for that one too. It's fun stuff. All right. Take care, everybody, on behalf of everybody at ESI. Walk good, take it easy. Dr. Barker, enjoy your day. I will enjoy my sleep, and we will talk soon.
Take care.
All right, take it easy. Bye-bye, everybody.